Alright, we're going to pair this dryer that was sabotaged by the previous tenant. Apparently he had crushed the vent pipe and buried it under all this garbage. So when he crushed the pipe, it overheated the heating elements, which popped the thermostat and the high limit switch breaker. So we're going to go ahead and replace those with a fairly cheap kit from Amazon. This one here, this is for a Samsung, pretty much universal. It's got 4 different things in it. I think there's only going to be 2 of them that are bad. We're going to go ahead and pull this thing out, check it out and see which one of them went bad, or which 2, or maybe all 4. Replace it. Alright, I had to pull the washer out to get access to the dryer vent disconnect before you start doing anything. Always unplug. Alright, so the quickest way to get these out of here and keep the front from getting all marred up is just put a blanket down right where it's going to land, and then you can work right on the back. Now you can start by pulling just the dryer vent. Gives you kind of a small hole to work in. I'm going to pull the whole surrounding sort of bezel, and we're going to go ahead and take that part out first. Drop your screws right in the middle. That way. And just in the interest of loosening everything up, pull this one too. So this bezel locks in right there at the bottom. There's a little lock, and then there's a little doodad at the top. And then you just lift it slowly out because it's going to be covered with dust. And then we're going to, yikes. So anytime you're fixing a dryer vent, we've got this out. This is sort of like a felt gasket where it goes into the heater. It's like a heat-proof felt. A lot of times when people are goofing with this, they'll lose that and they'll put it all back together, and then what happens is dust just shoots out through that tiny gap and just covers the inside of the dryer. So we're going to go over and take a look. It looks like it's intact. I'm going to go over and take a look though and see if someone may have had this apart. And you can see the whole bottom is covered with dust. The vent is open, but there are a few things down there that look a little sketchy. So we're going to get a wet vac, and we are going to vacuum the inside of this out really good, because all that dust can be a fire hazard. And then if you look right there, look right down there, you will see the different switches and thermostats and blah 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 that are all connected to that little guy right there, which is the heater element. It's like a heater chamber. So we don't want all this dust getting inside that heating chamber, because that can catch fire. So we're going to do a good cleanup on this thing, and then we're going to replace all these inside parts. Got the big boy out. Get all that out of there. You can brush it a little bit if you want, but you want to just get the loose dust, stuff that can fly around, clean it off of the gears and the pulleys, and then you're pretty much golden. And then we can start the repair. I'm going to test the high limit switch first. All right. If it were open, that's what it would say. So basically, this is okay. So let's move on to the next one. All right, we got those 2 switches replaced. Got that one replaced and one more to go. With this one, the screws are like a bluish color, almost like they were overheated. So my guess is there was an overheat situation. This tests out with the ohm meter. but it may go out under load. So we're gonna put this back with these blue screws that are overheated, and hopefully this was the bad part. Okay, we're all back together. All the wires are connected, plugs back on. The only thing it could be now would be the heating element or something inside of the electronic control. But it's a lot cleaner in there. And basically all we can do now is just plug it back in and see if one of these 4 pieces we replaced was the bad one. Here we go. Remember not to wear your Sunday best when you work on a dryer. You are going to get very, very dirty. Okay, let's turn this thing on. I don't have the vent hooked up yet because if it's a bad heating element, I'm going to have to pull that out. But we're going to give this a shot. Just got it on normal. Let it run for a minute. Won't really feel any hot air coming up. If it were hot air, it would be rising. I think we might have a bad heating element. Let it run for a few minutes and see. Okay guys, we removed the heating element here. Pretty simple, just a couple screws. Looks like we might have found an issue inside the heating chamber. Get the flashlight here and show you. You can see there's actually some burned material, some dust that is charred. See this charred dust? That was probably close to catching on fire. We got a lot of crap on the outside of it. Down inside, it's just a damn mess in there. So out it comes. Now before we pull all that apart, we're going to check this heating element with an ohm meter. 2 wires right there, you can bypass the connector. It is open. So let's touch these 2 together. I'm just going to touch the metal here with them. Just like that. And we see we have resistance. So back to open. The heating element is open. So that means it's bad. So the process here, first to clean out all that charred material there is in there. I'm going to wipe that out the rest of the way when we get done here. But this is what a heating element looks like in a dryer. It's just a continuous wire. Now this element has power on it. If you were to touch this when this was plugged in, it would shock the hell out of you. As you can see, it comes in right here, right there. So now we're going to test the resistance of this with it out of the dryer. So here's how you remove these pins. This part stays in the insulator and the tabs actually come out of it. And on the tab, you'll see there's a little bending tab. All you got to do is flatten that tab out and then push that bad boy through. So now we want to inspect it. I'm going to put it up against something weight. Just going to kind of go along, follow it along and look for a break in it. Look for breaks, spots where it might have overheated and melted. Usually that's what happens when these go bad. They don't ordinarily go bad though that often. Sometimes they go bad right here on the end. So we're going to do an ohm check on all this. And lo and behold, guys, there it is, right there. We have us a bad heating element. It's that simple. here we are. Okay. Gonna touch that. That's there. It's there. Should be around 10, 11. Yep, 10.6. Perfect. Let me show you what I did. You can either order a $70 heating element from Samsung, or you can use a marine copper crimp to crimp the coil back together. I've done this many times. Many times. Sometimes it lasts about a year, sometimes it lasts till the end of the dryer's life. Never had a problem. So we did that. We're going to put it in. We're going to use it until it gives up or doesn't. And then basically we'll buy a new element next time if we feel the need to. But for now it should work fine. Okay, and number one, whenever you take a heating element out of a dryer, at any time, no matter what, you need to go around and verify that none of this metal is touching anywhere and all the insulators are clipped in place. And then when you connect these back into the main body, you need to make sure that they're not touching anything either, because those are hot wires. Literally, it's a heating element, so they're hot, but they're also electrically hot. And you know, if they do touch the metal, it's just going to pop a breaker or pop a fuse, but you don't want that happening. Now once you get it right back in, just go over it real quick, make sure no metal's touching anywhere, any of the body of it. Like somewhere like right here, it's going to be a little close to the other side when it closes up. So I'm going to just take that and just push it down a little. And right here, I'm going to bend that up to make sure it's not too close to the metal. And that should give us a pretty good safe connection. You push these back in, and then on the other side, focus. You just take that little tiny tab right there and you just bend it over, and that keeps this thing from popping out. And that's what it should look like when you're done. Bent over just like that, so it can't push back through when you plug it in. Before you carry on, you want to go ahead and double check. Look down in there, make sure nothing's touching, especially the two hot wires. You don't want them touching each other because that'll just instantly pop the breaker. You just kind of bend these back into the position where the plug's going to line up nicely, just like that. And then what you want to do is take your ohm meter and you want to double check both of those terminals to the body and to each other. And this is what you want to see to the body. To each other, you're going to see 10.6 ohms. So let's go ahead and do that. So there's the first one, just like that, and then just do that. Permanent resistance, nothing there. Or another one, touch it to the body, permanent resistance. Then you want to touch the two to each terminal, and you want to see 10 to 11. There we go, 10.4, 10.3. Right on. Then what I do is I'll hold these. Whoop. Sometimes they're a little clunky, but I'll get these locked in there, and I'll hold them, and I'll watch this, and I'll shake this bad boy. Shake it around, bounce it around, because that's what's going to happen when it's full of load. You don't want to see any flickering. You don't want to see that move, which would indicate you got something shorting out in there. Then you do the same thing here to the body. Shake it. Make sure you're not getting any load there. Put it back. Just like so. Doing this again. I'm just going to shake this thing around. Make this shake, bang it on the back. Good. We're ready to reinstall this dryer tube and the heating element. Alright, got the heater fastened securely in there. These things are kind of floppy. That bracket right there is, usually they're pretty floppy, so if it moves around a little bit, it's no big deal, because it's going to be laying flat. But you can see it's kind of loose. They're all that way. I mean, you can't really do much with it, but as long as it doesn't fall out of position, you're fine. Make sure all your screws in. Make sure your little tabs are bent down. And that's about all you can do. And double check that all your wires are connected. Last thing you want to do is flip this back over, hook it all up, and then whoop, forgot a wire. Okay. Let's see what we get. Pause it. Open it. Oh yeah, nice and hot. Nice and hot. Big time. Working great. Okay, we're just going to run a cycle on this as long as it'll run. While we put everything back together and get our mess cleaned up. Okay, we're down to 1 minute. So we're running for about 43 minutes. You're going to smell a little smell. First time you put everything back together, you're going to catch a little bit of odor from the dust, and plus this element hasn't been working for a while probably, so what you end up getting is a lot of stuff in there that ordinarily wouldn't be in there. So basically you're going to sort of see it burn off the new stuff. Oh, get a little song at the end of the dry cycle. Stick my hand in here. Oh yeah. Woo! Nice and warm. Right on, guys. Another job well done. Power off. See you next time.